This is a 3D printed item. Now I could sell this item for $5 and make $3.50 profit. How do I know this? Well, in this video I'm going to be discussing why 3D printing is actually quite profitable and also why it's not. Let's get started. But before we actually get started, I'm going to need you to subscribe to this channel because we make all sorts of building, 3D printing, invention type content, and we're trying to hit 1,000 subs in the near future. So please help us out. We'd really appreciate it. So would I call myself an expert when it comes to profiting on 3D printing? No, please don't listen to me for that. If you really want to learn how to 3D print on demand or do any other methods to profit off of 3D printing, like on a larger scale, I'm not your guy. I don't have any experience in that. I'm just saying that there is ways to profit. To begin this video, let's discuss why 3D printing can potentially be profitable, starting with this roll of filament, this silver metal that I really like. I'll leave a link in the description to 3D Solutech on Amazon so you can buy some of their filament. It's really good stuff. Thought that'd be a little louder. A standard roll of filament like that weighs about 1 kilogram and it costs about $20 plus tax. It's a little bit more, but $20 is the sale price. So if you do the math, that means 100 grams of filament is equal to about $2. Keep that in mind. This product right here weighs 77 grams. So in theory, it should be less than $2, probably about $1.50, $1.75. But I would be able to easily sell this for $5 and people would buy it. Doing the math, that's about a $3.50 profit, which is pretty good, all things considered. You can print about 12 of them just from one spool if you really want. So assuming you sell all 12 of those, all for $5 to different people or however you sell it, you can make up to about $40, exact number here on screen, if each one's a $3.50 profit, which means you can buy more spools, print more, all that great stuff. So based on the cost of filament, it's really easy to profit off of 3D printing because filament is so much cheaper than you can sell it for. So purely based off of the cost of a spool of 3D printer filament, it's quite easy to profit just from the spool because you can inflate prices so easily because of your technology. The technology, not everybody has a 3D printer. They can be expensive. Not everybody just has one laying around. So they go to you for the service, which is why you can inflate those prices despite it actually not costing that much to print it. The other big reason 3D printing can be so profitable is because you can print pretty much anything as long as you have a file of it. All you have to do is go into your slicer, I use CIR, slice it and print it. It's pretty simple. So along with being able to print a fish face for your uncle or whoever, I don't know, you can print this. You can print a Hylian shield. You can print an ultra swole Pikachu. You can print whatever this is. Or my personal favorite, you can print literally a picture. Basically this is a lithoplane. Hopefully I'll be trying to make a video on that soon, so stay tuned for that, which means you should subscribe, whatever. But yeah, you can print basically anything. So whatever a customer asks for, you can go print it and give it to them for however much you want to charge for it. A 3D printer's versatility is basically unmatched, which makes it awesome for trying to profit off of being able to print quite literally anything. I mean, seriously, okay, there's some things that are illegal to print, like the gun. You know what I'm saying. You can print basically anything and make profit off of it. Needless to say, it is completely possible to profit off of 3D printing. It's just not always that simple. Which leads me into the cons of trying to profit off of 3D printing, and there's a couple really big ones that I want to talk about. Someone's just driving by really loud. I bet you this is in the clip and everything. And now let's talk about the cons. And to be honest, they're really big ones. It's honestly pretty hard to profit out of 3D printing because of these things. In my case, I have a lot of friends who live very close by, so I can sell to them a lot easier than say someone who doesn't really know anybody within the town. So I have that advantage. But let's go over some actual cons, or some ones that I feel like are a lot more important to focus on. Starting with 3D printing just is slow. I think we all know this. This product right here took 18 hours to print. And if your printer is, malfunctioning like mine is right now, you can't print anything for a while. That's assuming you only have one printer like me, but if you have multiple, then it's a lot less of a problem. Still, it's just not a fast method to make things. Being able to just go to a company and just ask them to make a mold of it or make it yourself or just buy it, assuming it's a more general thing like a nut or a bolt or a specific item, there's no point in 3D printing it. 3D printing is a lot better for things like this, stuff that you don't just find at the store. And I don't know how many Home Depots have an Ultra Swole Pikachu, but there's that. So it's just slow, and that's the biggest problem with 3D printing and why you can't make a lot of money off of it, is because you can't really mass produce products for people, especially if they want a lot of something. you can make nice little models and stuff like Pikachu or the fish face or the gear heart, this thing. You can do all that kind of cool stuff, but you're kind of limited in how much you can actually sell. So I touched on this a bit earlier, and the second big con that I have with 3D printing is it's hard to find customers. Now, I said this isn't as big as a problem as it being slow, and I still think that's true, but unless you're like me, or you still go to school, and it's quite easy to find friends who will buy stuff from you, unless you're 3D printing on demand through a website, it's pretty hard to find customers. You don't just go up, knock on people's doors and be like, hey, you want a fish face or something? You know, that's not really what you do. So I guess the easiest way to get customers would be through some kind of online business or 3D printing on demand, which if you're wondering what that is, here is a link to a Maker's Muse video, a big channel, a lot bigger than mine. He's actually did 3D printing on demand for a while, so I think you can trust him on that subject. But I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of demand for people just needing somebody to 3D print something for them. At least not that I know of. Most people, if they want something, they can just go to the store, go to Amazon or something, and it's just easier for them. It might not necessarily be cheaper, but most of the time it takes a lot less time for this to actually get done because the person who has the printer has to know about it, they have to find the file, slice it, print it, and then get it to them, which honestly is way less efficient than just going to the store, going to Amazon, buying it. People just would rather do it the easier way, obviously. And the last big problem is that printers are unreliable as hell, and I would know better than anybody else. That's not 100% true, but my printer seems to not work a lot of the time. It's a good printer, I really think it is. If you want to see my review of it, here is a link up here. But they break a lot. They have malfunctions a lot. And along with them being slow, if they break, you can't print anything for a while unless you have multiple 3D printers. I don't, personally, but if you do, that's great. It makes it a lot easier. But what if they both break, then you're kind of screwed. That's pretty rare, but you know what I'm saying. And even if you have multiple printers and one of them breaks, you can still print, right? But you can't print as efficiently. And if you're doing some kind of online business, like 3D printing on demand, or you just make your own, your production's going to slow down. You're not going to be able to get products out as fast. Along with this, you have to always be printing. And whenever you're always printing, you're more likely to run into problems with your printer. That's just kind of how it works. The more you use something, the more likely it's gonna break. 3D printers, while being awesome, really aren't meant to take that kind of stress of always printing something. And to be honest, that's what I did in the first couple months that I had my printer. I'm just always printing, and now it's broken, and I don't exactly know why it broke, but I think it has somewhat to do with the fact that I used it too much. And also I didn't fix it properly, and I didn't maintain it that well for a little while. But to summarize, printers are just unreliable. They're not the best way to be able to build things, honestly, and sell it for profit or sell it in mass bulk or any of that. So if you're really looking to sell stuff in mass, I wouldn't recommend going with 3D printing. It's just not going to work. Oh, and I'm not sure I mentioned it earlier, but 3D printing is very expensive. Even my Ender 3 Pro is $275, $250. It kind of ranges in price, but that's pretty expensive. Like, honestly, 250 bucks, you don't just spend that every day unless you're rich. I'm not currently. And I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you're also not rich because you probably wanted to find out if printing was a good way to make money. But yeah, 3D printing is just not profitable a lot of the time. As much as I hate to say it, I would not recommend using 3D printing to try to profit. In my case, I can make a little more than most people probably could because of my easy accessibility to buyers and people who will continuously spend money, and maybe some strategies, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video in the future, strategies on how to make money through 3D printing, so subscribe for that. Subscribe for the lithoplane video that I mentioned earlier. Subscribe for more 3D printing content and all sorts of invention and building stuff. Yeah, this is pretty much the end of the video. To conclude, I would not recommend using 3D printing to profit, but you can. So I'd say it's kind of yes and no. It can be profitable, but it's most likely not going to be. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm Callum from CIR Inventions, and we will see you in the next video.